You have all these other languages, right? But then you have Welsh, where these words feel like an AI like spammed like random letters on Google Translate. Like it literally does sound like that. It's like that's what it sounds. It's like I'm probably butchering it right now, but like I'm not joking when I say that though. I'm gonna play a video for you of this guy, Connor, CdawgVa. He's a part of Trash Taste. We've mentioned him before, but he has done these podcasts where he has talked about this place name, the longest place name in Wales. I am not going to pronounce it because obviously I'm going to butcher it, but I'll try and put it up to full volume so you can hear it. So here we go. Oh, here we go. I hate when, you know what, right? I hate when ads play on YouTube videos as well. Like, when an ad is playing on a YouTube video, you're trying to watch it, but it just takes for ages. It's like, there's two at once, and you have to click off and on. It's like, oh, okay, here we go, enough of that shit.
Weirdest name. I feel like every single podcast I have to do this.
So I'm going to give you context behind this.
Right.
That's a place.
A real town name. It's about an hour from where I grew up.
I'm sorry, one more time.
You cannot make that up, right? There's a Welsh place called I can't even pronounce. I'm not gonna do that, right? But you get the gist there. It's like this Welsh place name is like I was saying. It's like it feels like this Google Translate AI generated. You know when you type in your phone or whatever. You type in AFDWXYZ, then you put it in Google Translate. That's what it sounds like. It's like I was mentioning earlier. I see how Google Translate does it because, right, longest place name name in Wales. I know New Zealand has a really long place name, but Wales has like a whole different, is a different beast if I'm being honest with you. So in Wales, right, here we go. I'm gonna copy this into Google Translate because, my god, this is a fake crazy thing. Here we go. See how I'll see how Google Translate does this because I personally cannot even do this indeed. So. So what? Let me try it again, right?
You are about to experience the James Rambling Show, hosted by James Patton.
Hello, welcome back to the James Rambling Show for yet another episode. And in today's episode, I'm going to talk about British stereotypes, but I'm also going to talk about St. Patrick's Day and how I had a little interesting experience yesterday with Heineken, the famous Irish drink. And by the time this episode comes out, it'll be like a day after St. Patrick's Day even happened, so it's gonna feel slightly outdated. I don't want to sneeze, but slightly outdated, right? So there's that. So before we get into the episode itself, I'm just gonna quickly mention this, that there's a new review episode out talking about the Last of Us series, and I don't need to bore you with all of that stuff because I've already said what I need to say about that show. So without further ado, let's get straight into British stereotypes. So British stereotypes, what are British stereotypes? Well, it's pretty much, right, when you think of a stereotype, it's like this assumption that somebody has about a certain country, and then everyone else starts thinking that way and thinks, oh, this country behaves this way, this country behaves that way, this and that and that and this. And it's came to mind because it's this topic that, you know, it's kind of an interesting topic, and I personally am British myself, so it's like, okay, I should have talked about this a long time ago, but now it's St. Patrick's Day, now it's all like that. I'm like, okay, I can finally do a video on this and talk about it, or a podcast on it. So British, that's a stereotype. It's an assumption of a country someone has. Okay. So what are some British stereotypes that I personally know of? I'm going to start off with talking about Scottish and Irish stereotypes, and then I'll move into Welsh and English stereotypes, and obviously the other stuff I mentioned earlier there. So the Scottish stereotypes that come to mind, and the Irish stereotype. This is like one core stereotype between Scottish and Irish people, is that like a Scottish person is very short, and an Irish person is very short, because you have leprechauns, which are these like little men who collect like this pot of gold, and then you have this short Scottish people, you know, like there's all that stuff. So you have that where the Irish and the Scottish are typically seen as these short little people, and then so there's that, and then we've got poor, like being like not having a lot of money. And I do have a story attached to poorness and the whole stereotype of poorness to do with Scotland. So I remember, I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast, but I remember like a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, whatever it was, I was on this boat in this place in New Zealand, and there was this guy on the boat, and he was sitting next to this Asian lady and stuff like that, and then he said to us, he's like being a bit rude, he's like, "Did you know that Scottish people are poor, by the way? Oh, you're pretty tight," and tight means poor. He said something like that. I'm kind of just paraphrasing it, but it's kind of strange, because it's like, not all Scottish people are poor, you know. Like, there are pretty rich Scottish people, and like the richest Scottish people are probably like, okay, I'm gonna just Google rich Scottish people, because I'm just gonna give you an example, just because kind of have to debunk this stereotype, you know, because some stereotypes are actually true. But who are the most rich Scottish people? Right. Calvin Harris, right? Calvin Harris, like I've mentioned how like Scottish people are poor, and it's this stereotype. But Calvin Harris is this guy. He makes this EDM music, but he makes so much money off of like the times he goes to do his concerts and the t-shirt sales and stuff like that. So people saying, "Oh, Scottish people are poor," like there's poor and rich people in every single country. So it's like, how does that make sense? And not every Scottish person is short. Like, you'll find a lot of tall Scottish people. Yeah, so you have those, but I'm not here to debunk those. I was just telling you that the stereotype is this assumption that's happened, but then you kind of realise, okay, this isn't always the case. So there's all that stuff. So I'm thinking of, like, you know, I've mentioned how Scottish people and Irish people have all these stereotypes, and there is like a million other stereotypes the Irish and Scottish have. Like, there is the whole going to the pub stuff, where Scottish and Irish people typically go to the pub to get a bit of beer, and, you know, they have a bit of a bar fight and stuff like that, and, you know, punching and all that stuff. But I think collectively the British just love going to the bar. Like, the English and Scottish and Irish just love a good old time at the pub. Just talk to your mates at the pub and stuff like that. So there's all that stuff. Shit. Sorry. Right, so we have that. I'm not going to go on and on and on and on and on about Scottish and Irish stereotypes. When we get to the English side of things, this is a nice way to go into it, because mentioned how poorness and like the rich and all that, you know, how Scottish and Irish people were depicted as, you know, being poor. But English people, however, are depicted as being, like, the stereotype is they're these posh, high level, elite individuals that have so much money. They sit in their castles with their tea being poured for them and all this stuff. So you have that, and then other stereotypes about the English are like, another stereotype about England that comes to mind is like this whole like thing about a British geezer, mate, gonna go out and beat you up with a knife, right? Like, there's this whole entire thing about how in England there's so many stabbings, and that's like one stereotype. Like there's so many stabbings in England. Like you have all those street gangs and they just stab people. But I'm pretty sure stabbings have happened in other countries. But that's another stereotype I can think of is like the English depicted as being like, okay, we have a bunch of people that just want to stab people, you know, because there's this whole statistical thing about how a lot of a lot of English gang members have knives, so there's all that. But another English stereotype, before I have to go off and try and, well, not go off, but just try and Google what another English stereotype would be. I guess another one is about rugby obsession. Like I feel like collectively, or like I feel like in general, like the English, the Scottish, the Irish, and the Welsh all get really obsessed with rugby and being passionate about their country, being passionate about it. And I've said passionate things about Scotland before. I've said how, you know, Scotland is this country, but you have all that freedom of speech stuff. But England, they're proud of their rugby. They're proud of who they are. I mean, they're proud of the Queen and all that. Like there's the Queen stuff. Like the Queen, it's like she's known as being this person and all that, and there's this I think there's this other English stereotype about how like the Queen, you can't really say so much about the Queen, and I think it's actually true though. It's like the thing it's something you hear about England, but it's true. Well, it's true about the UK, I should say, because in the UK you can't have FTQ on your license plate, for example. You have to sort of not have it there because the Queen is a very important individual, and so we can't have her be subjected to like, oh, if you, the Queen is trash, screw the royal family, you know, like that. I've never really talked about the royal family on my show before, but if I was to briefly talk about the royal family, I think the royal family is, you know, I know how I mentioned like Chris Rock saying, they're like the OGs of racism, the royal family. I mean, the whole British invasion stuff goes back way in centuries and centuries and centuries, but I don't like the royal family. I'm just gonna put it straight, right? They are like privileged. Privileged is the best word for it, because you know they have so much money and all this stuff, and there's like these things about how the royal family does things for charity, but some of it is just for attention, and I could be totally wrong about that. You know, the royal family might do these caring things, but I think the Queen was probably one of the most okay people in the royal family, because the other ones, they just get stirred up in the media and stirred up in the drama to the point where it's like, do I really want to support them and stuff? Like, you're representing England, and it's like, really? Don't know about that. So I will actually check if the royal family does do charity for attention, or it's actually a true thing. Does the royal family... hold on. This does relate, by the way, because it's obviously to do with England, so... Does the royal family actually care about charities? Okay. Her Majesty has links as royal... So this is what it says on Google when I searched up. Does the royal family actually care about charity? Her Majesty has links as royal patron or president with more than 600 charities, military associations, professional bodies, and public service organisations, including AFB, the Soldier Charity, the British Diabetic Association, Cancer Research, and Cruse Bereavement. I can't even say this word right. Bereavement. Okay. Bereavement care, right? So those are the charities that the Queen does, but there's no mention of like Prince Charles or anything like that. So it's like, okay, so we've established how the British are very, very rich and things, we've established that, right? We've established that whole sort of thing. But then you have this idea that the royal family does not really care about charity, and you only had the Queen, and about the Queen died like 6 months ago, 6 months ago. It's kind of sad because I mean she was. You can say what you want, right? Oh, she was 95 years old. Oh, that means it's who cares? Oh, yeah, that stuff. But it's like she's an important figure, and so it's like okay. No, really, don't really need to kind of be like, she's 95. This means it doesn't really matter that she died. She deserved to die. Oh, that stuff. So that's one thing I'm kind of like. The Queen, I wouldn't necessarily wish death upon the Queen, but I don't want to go there because this episode is not about that at all. So we've said that. We've said that the I kind of went on a bit about the English and the stereotypes, but there is one other thing that I do want to mention. Not sure if I mentioned it earlier, but the English and the Scottish had a bit of a beef back in the day. So there's all of that stuff. Like the British invaded. I think I did say that. Oh, sorry. Okay, never mind. All right. So we're gonna move on to Welsh stereotypes now. Welsh stereotypes. Before as I'm searching this up, right, I know that the Welsh are also really like the rugby. They do enjoy the rugby, but I know there's that stuff. And I'm gonna mention about I do want to talk about the flag difference between each country because man, I know I'm Scottish, but man, the Welsh flag though, it's actually kind of good. So Welsh stereotypes. Wait, why'd I go to videos of shit? Right. So it says that the Welsh stereotypes here. It says no one speaks English. Only Welsh. Welsh people only live on farms and drive tractors. Singing is a nationwide talent in Wales. So that's a few of them. But I personally just think that the Welsh language is kind of interesting because it's like you have Japanese, you have English, you have Vietnamese, you have Mandarin. I'm just thinking of the normal ones, but there's also Korean and then you've got Bulgarian. You have all these what I'm just saying is you have all these other languages, right? But then you have Welsh, where these words feel like an AI spammed random letters on Google Translate. It literally does sound like that. It's like that's what it sounds like. It's like I'm probably butchering it right now, but I'm not joking when I say that though. I'm gonna play a video for you of this guy, Connor, CdawgVa. He's at part of Trash Taste. We've mentioned him before, but he has done these podcasts where he has talked about this place name, the longest place name in Wales. I am not going to pronounce it because obviously I'm going to butcher it, but I'll try and put it up to full volume so you can hear it. So here we go. Oh, here we go. I hate when, right? I hate when ads play on YouTube videos as well. When an ad is playing on a YouTube video, you're trying to watch it, but it just takes for ages. It's like there's two at once, and you have to click off and on. It's like, oh, okay, here we go. Enough of that shit.
Weirdest name. I feel like every single podcast I have to do this.
So I'm gonna give you context behind this.
Right. That's a place.
A real town name. It's about an hour from where I grew up.
I'm sorry, one more time.
You cannot make that up, right? There's a Welsh place called I can't even pronounce. I'm not gonna do that, right? But you get the gist there. It's like this Welsh place name is like I was saying. It's like it feels like this Google Translate AI generated. When you type in your phone or whatever. You type in AFDWXYZ, then you put it in Google Translate. That's what it sounds like. It's like I was mentioning earlier. I see how Google Translate does it because, right, longest place name in Wales. I know New Zealand has a really long place name, But Wales has like a whole different, is a different beast if I'm being honest with you. So in Wales, right, here we go. I'm gonna copy this into Google Translate because my god, this is a fake crazy thing. Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. See how I'll see how Google Translate does this because I personally cannot even do this indeed, so so what? Let me try it again, right? How on earth did the Welsh create that? Like, the Welsh, right? They're known for their, you know, their rugby stuff. They're known for having this dragon as their flag. But no, they also need to have this really, really complicated language that feels like Google Translate, AI generated, things you would write randomly if you were mashing your keyboard and bashing your keyboard, bashing your head off a keyboard. That's what it sounds like. But, okay. What was I going to mention? Oh, that's right. The whole flag phenomenon about the British stuff, man. Man, I just got carried away there. Got absolutely carried away with this one thing. But okay, so you have the English flag, which is a white background with a red cross on it, right? Then you've got the Irish flag that has like white, orange, and green. Then you've got the Scottish flag, which is a blue background with a white cross. Seems just standard enough, doesn't it? And then you get to the Welsh flag, and that's like a dragon. And I personally think, you know, I'm Scottish and everything, my flag is cool, but I feel like the English flag is kind of lame because it's just a red cross with a white background. Irish is fine, but like Irish, like there's flags like the Irish flag that are done in other countries. Like I think Belgium and Germany, they have like orange and, not orange, like black and yellow and all of that, and red and stuff like that, and they have this one singular set of colours. Whereas, you know, I feel like the coolest thing about the Welsh flag is like how it kind of stands out. It kind of stands out, and I think there's this whole origin story about why the Irish flag, not the Irish flag, the Welsh flag, and how it really is and why it's this way. Might as well just Google that as well. So here we go, baby. I'm known for Googling things. You'd never thinking like when I started doing this show that I was going to start Googling stuff more, but since I've realised I kind of don't know where I go with certain topics and I'm just talking about something, not knowing what I'm talking about, I have to kind of do it. So, alright, here we go. What is the origin story behind the Welsh flag? Oh wait, I have my phone turned up. Oh no. Okay. So it says here on Google, for the Welsh flag, what's the origin of it? So here it says here, the current flag was officially adopted in 1959 and is based on an old royal badge used by British kings and queens since Tudor times. Okay, that's not Tudor who was on the show like 7 months ago. This is these people that were like the royals and they're like a section of kings. I think there's a type of kings and queens and what they refer to. Anyways, the red dragon itself has been associated with Wales for centuries, and as such, the flag is claimed to be the oldest national flag. National flag, and still in use. So it said there, right? It's based on old royal badge. And there is actually clans, like, I don't know if I've talked about this, which is kind of weird, where like a year and 2 months or something into this show, and I've not even mentioned Scottish clans and stuff, but it's like these cool badges that we have that represent who we're from and things like that, and it's a cool little concept. But yeah, that's Wales for you, that's British stereotypes. I feel like I've went on this entire episode talking about the British stereotypes sort of thing. But then we get to St. Patrick's Day, and it's like, alright, St. Patrick's Day. It's this yearly thing that happens every March 17th to celebrate the fact that the Irish dude called Saint Patrick adopted like the Catholic religion into the nation. And really, it's just an excuse. Really, it's just an excuse to go to the pub as well. Like I feel like St. Patrick's Day is just an excuse to go to the pub because the Irish love going to the pub, like we said earlier in the episode. But like it's like they wanna just go to the pub. And there's this funny fact about this Irish pub that I went to in Queenstown. Like in that episode, I talked about Queenstown. I've mentioned this before, but like it's like I was gonna go to I went to Queenstown and I did the Land Rover and I did all of that. But the one thing I never mentioned was the fact that I went to this pub called Pog Mahoney's, right? An Irish pub, and it literally means "kiss my arse" or something like that. I just said that with confidence out loud in my new house, but it's like Pog Mahoney's, kiss me arse, mate, kiss me bloody arse, kiss me bloody arse, my bloody arse, mate. So there's that, right? That's what it means. But I've never really been to that many Irish pubs, but I do remember going to that Irish pub, Pog Mahoney's. But I do remember, right, for St. Patrick's Day, like 7 years ago, like 5 years ago, I want to say. I went to the working men's club in New Zealand, and it's this place where you can play pool and you can play have beer and all of this stuff. But I tried a bit of Guinness there, and I only had a sip of it. But recently, if you saw that community tab post, I did show you me drinking Guinness because it related to the episode. But I do have an interesting little thing to talk about with that. So yesterday, St. Patrick's Day, Dad bought 6 cans of Guinness. So we had to pour it and all that. But the first thing that happened with it was when my dad ordered it, the people were saying, "Oh, we'll give this you have to pick this up at 12 a.m. 17th of March," and he's like, "What? Why would you do that?" And then and it changed from that to okay, I'm gonna get it right now, because then they gave him that option sort of thing. So then he went to get the Guinness, and then we had to wait it out because it wasn't cold originally. So we had to wait it out, but it still wasn't really cold after a few hours or whatever, an hour or two. But then later on, some of it did become cold. But Guinness, the first thing happened, it was I poured it, right? I poured the Guinness. Right? And I kind of make a mess while I'm doing it, because the trick is with Guinness is that you kind of have to pour it slowly. You got to do this, I'm trying to do a motion where it's you pouring it, so it's you got the glass, imagine this is the glass, right? Audio listeners aren't going to see this, but imagine this is the glass and this is the can. You go, you can't do it really fast because it does take a while to fill up, and then it fills up right to the top. But it's not like it goes like a volcano where it goes, it just does that, right? So there's that. But then I tried it, and at first it was this is an interesting taste. But then it's this tastes interesting. Then I drink it more, and it's it's creamy. It tastes like chocolate. It feels like a chocolate milk, a chocolate milkshake. A chocolate milkshake that has beer in it. That's kind of how I describe it. But the more simple way I would describe it is it's sweet yet bitter, and I do think that the Guinness tasted a bit more interesting than the beer I've had that made me sick, and then I had it when at New Year's. Definitely a bit of an improvement from the last time I talked about beer, because that Guinness, it's just standard beer, but this has a bit more to it. It's got a bit more creaminess to it and stuff like that. So I did feel that same feeling of I was moving, my hand was I'm moving all over the place. I did want to try record the episode last night, but then it was I was kind of drunk, so I was I'm trying to try it. I was I tried to do it, and then when I tried to open my laptop, right, I went boom, but I didn't break my laptop. It was just it kind of moved around a bit. So it was yeah, and it would have been weird if I did an episode when I was drunk. But later on in the night, it kind of weared off, and I wasn't up at 4 in the morning drinking, 4 in the morning doing the toilet. So it was a bit of a different experience, and definitely a much better, much more interesting sort of taste and all of that stuff. So without further ado, I think I have done what I needed to do for this episode. Although likewise, there's always another thing that I have to mention, because it's the James Rambling Show. So okay, so recently I finally did the deed. I finally did the deed of watching Breaking Bad, right? And this just feels kind of random and all like that. But you know how I talked to Tom Dunkins for the third time, and we talked about, there's a section of the episode where I talked about Breaking Bad, and he talked about how he got into Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, then Phoenix. Before Tom Dunkins came on the third time, and Phoenix the second time, he talked about Breaking Bad and all like that, and I was saying, oh, I only understood this show through the memes. But recently, like the past few days, couple of days, whatever, I got into Breaking Bad, and I have to say that the show does live up to the hype that it has been getting over the, like, whenever it came out, like 2008, was it? Something like that. Right, so it's been out for a while, but the memes have sort of made this revive a bit, and it's like all this stuff about the show has kind of recycled on YouTube Shorts over the past couple of years or whatever. So I got down to watching the show, but I haven't finished it yet, and I'm only up to season 2, and I tried to watch less today because I watched so much. And Breaking Bad, for those who don't know, and I feel like this does not feel necessary because everyone and their mother knows Breaking Bad, but if you're somebody who doesn't know Breaking Bad, if you get this far in the episode, I'll just clip it for you maybe, so you can know. So Breaking Bad follows the story of Walter White. He's this chemistry teacher, but then during the first episode he gets cancer, right, lung cancer from this petrol station gas, or wherever or diesel if you're American, or whatever, however you say it, right. So he gets this lung cancer. He's diagnosed with that, but he's also a dude that sells crystal meth, and he has financial ruins and stuff like that. So it's quite a depressing show already, but it does make the show interesting. Like, uses these very dramatic moments and uses this very dramatic concept, but then it makes it so interesting that it's like, okay, I understand that it's so dramatic, but at the same time, I'm really enjoying it, and I'm like, man, this show is really good. Like, oh man. But I haven't gotten to the good bits of the show yet, because obviously it's good, but from what I'm hearing, seasons 4 and 5 is when the show is like at its prime, at its peak. But even with that said, there is things about season 2, season 3 that are very good. And I'm only at the start of season 2, like season 2, episode 2, and stuff like that. So I think my favourite, I don't have a favourite episode yet, because, man, it's like, and you've also got Jesse, and you've got Hank, and you've got all these other characters like Walter Jr. and Skylar. I mean, I could go on for days. Like they've introduced like 12 characters or 20 characters in this one season of a show, and you'd think like kind of be a slow burner, but I feel like you get straight into it. And apparently fans of Breaking Bad, like, apparently it took 3 episodes for them to get hooked. And it's like, all this stuff literally happens in the first episode, and you're telling me it took 3 episodes. Right, I said it in my review, but in the Last of Us review, but it's like, that took like an episode. But for the Breaking Bad, it took like barely an episode, like 20, not even 20 minutes actually, I don't think. So there's stuff like that, but I'm going to end the episode before I go on for another hour talking about Breaking Bad. But I'm going to hopefully get through that show. Maybe we'll do a review show episode of that. Who knows? That might be a long boy, but that might be a very long review. That'd be like 59 minutes. I'd say that we go on for 9 hours, actually. Honestly, I could even bring Liam and Phoenix back, or not Liam. Oh no. Forget I said Liam. Tom Dunkins, right? Who's Liam? Who the heck is Liam? Nobody knows who that is. So maybe I'll bring them back to talk about Breaking Bad. But oh my god, talking about a rambling episode. So see you next week for the next episode of the James Rambling Show. We're still doing it. We're still here. We're never leaving. We're never leaving this. We're never leaving. Bye.